Thanks, Rachel. It's a real privilege for me to, as part of the program committee, to be asked to introduce Richard Bushman. And I assume that most of you have seen just from our John Whitmer program, and you know all the accolades of Dick. And so I don't think it's necessary for me to take you through everything again. He's just a really decorated historian amongst us, and maybe his greatest accomplishment is marrying Claudia and 6 kids and 20 grandkids. I'm sure he would like to tell us more about those than probably his talk tonight. But nonetheless, I just wanted to give you just a couple of personal anecdotes tonight. When I began my career as a religious educator, I went to one of my senior faculty and I said, Tell me some of the books that are just must-reads. I had a preparation in educational history and secularization, and his faculty member, Paul Hoskison, looked at me and said, start with Joseph Smith and the early beginnings of Mormonism. And ever since then, I've just watched and really enjoyed Richard and his work. His Rough Stone Rolling, I think next to the Joseph Smith papers, has probably opened more things up to Latter-day Saint members in terms of historical inquiry than just about any other thrust. In fact, as I thought about it in just kind of a circumspect way, I think there are 3 historians that have really left a lasting imprint upon our group here. One would be Leonard Arrington, and most of us would see him really as the father of New Mormon history. And a second would be Bob Flanders, and pretty much the father of New RLDS history. And a third would be Dick Bushman, pretty much the father of a New Joseph Smith history, or New Joseph Smith emphasis. And so I'm very pleased that he's accepted tonight to come here and to address us, and I look forward very much to hearing him talk. Thanks.
Thanks very much. It was a great pleasure to hear from Rachel Kelbrew, who invited me to give the Howard Lecture. And I was just delighted to accept, partly because Rachel is so gracious and energetic in her writing. Hope you all get emails from her. She presents herself so well in that medium. And I knew Richard Howard, and he helped me write my undergraduate honors thesis on Mormons in Jackson County. And I loved him. I was a fabulous person. And then I always loved to come to Kansas City because my son Serge, my daughter-in-law Patty, lived here. So I'm here to visit one of my many children and some of my grandchildren while we're here. So on top of that, I really wanted to renew my connection with the society. I've been here for a number of meetings, had some memorable experiences. So it's a great pleasure to be here this evening. So I welcome the invitation to address this body because it also gave me an opportunity to talk about Joseph Smith's gold plates, an object which has captured my fancy in the past few years, and I'm at the moment trying to pull together all the information I can about the plates in order to comment on their cultural uses. At first sight, the subject may seem like a hopeless cause, even for Mormons who believe the plates were once real. The question of relevance comes up. The problem is that even by Joseph Smith's own account, he had the plates in his possession for only 22 months. They came, were gone. Even if they really were in his hands and still exist somewhere, they cannot be seen. There's much of a figment of the imagination for believers as for unbelievers. As Smith and others close to him tell the story, he learned about the plates from an angel in September 1823. He went to the El Camorra, saw them the next day, but was forbidden to retrieve them until September 22nd, 1827. He began dictating the Book of Mormon in the next winter, then lost the manuscript through a mishap with his clerk in June of 1828, when the plates, he tells us, were taken from him for his carelessness. They were returned in September, and he began a desultory translation in the fall and winter. Between April 1829 through June 1829, Smith dictated the bulk of the text. Sometime in July, he returned the plates to the angel. Then they were gone. That is the story. How can you make a book out of the adventures of the plates during those 22 months when thereafter they were entirely absent? The answer, of course, is clear. The plates may now be absent, but they are not forgotten. In fact, we see them all the time. And it is in this constant recovery and recycling of the plates that intrigues me. Go to the Joseph Smith building at the BYU campus, and you look at a diorama in the lobby, and you see not only the plates, but the box in which they were found, and the plates' companion artifacts, the sword of Lyman and breastplate, visible to anyone who walks through the lobby. There's a set of gold plates in the Maxwell Institute library that we found in a cupboard while I was teaching a summer seminar on this subject. And they appear not just in public life. There are many private lives that we have. And here, you don't have to rely on Mormons for a sight of the plates. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, authors of the Book of Mormon musical, who wrote an episode on Joseph Smith in their South Park series, showed the gold plates, giving the plates another breath of life. Or consider James Rollins' novel, The Devil Colony, about a migration to America of an advanced race of ancient Jews who recorded the secrets of their power on gold plates which were buried in a Utah mountain. The book is about a Mormon archaeologist of Indian descent who excavates the plates and then helps prevent them in their mighty powers from destroying the planet. Rollins explains in his introduction that while raised a Roman Catholic, he has always been fascinated by the Book of Mormon, and especially the Mormon belief that Native American clans originated from a fleeing, lost tribe of Israelites. In The Devil Colony, he turns this belief into a threat of world destruction by forces unleashed by the gold plates. At the high end of the artistic spectrum is the much acclaimed Angels in America, Tony Kushner's Pulitzer Prize-winning play. Kushner tells the story of Pryor, a dying gay man who was offered a metal book by an angel and told to bear its message to the world. The angel invades the apartment with a charge to Pryor to become a prophet, offering directions about recovering the plates. The plates are buried under the tiles in Pryor's kitchen, echoing Joseph's concealment of the gold plates under the bricks in his family's fireplace. The plates come in a dusty, ancient leather suitcase instead of a stone box. Pryor's angel gives him a set of spectacles called peepstones that permit the wearer to see everything, very much like Joseph's urim and thumb. The plates the angel gives Pryor are made of steel rather than gold, but they contain the message that Pryor is to carry to the world. The dramatic climax comes when Prior turns down the angel's offer and returns the plates because he is so angry at God for abandoning earth. Furious that he and others like him were suffering so much, Prior utters an emphatic no. Turning back the plates to the angel gives him a dramatic gesture to play also. If we consider angels in America and all the other manifestations of the gold plates, the problem is not their absence, but their presence in the imagination since the Book of Mormon was first announced down to the present. Why is it that the plates have had such a long life? Why do they still come up in pictures, in stories, in music? The theme of my study, the book I'm trying to write, is the vitality of Joseph Smith's gold plates. One reason they figure in so many stories I'm postulating is that though seen by very few, they were described in detail by those who did see them. They have a visual presence despite their absence. Martin Harris, one of Smith's early associates, was one of a number of people who gave a detailed description. These plates were 7 inches wide by 8 inches in length and were of the thickness of plates of tin, and when piled one above another, they were altogether about 4 inches thick, and they were put together on the back by 3 other silver rings so that they would open like a book. Add to that the gold color of the plates and the report of ancient characters, you have enough to imagine to reconstruct the gold plates. To this can be added accounts of how they were found and how Joseph recovered them in the history of the prophet. Oliver Cowdery went on at length about the discovery of the plates. Cowdery described how the box was made by placing 4 upright stones in cement on a flat-bottomed stone, and then 3 small pillars of cement were placed on the bottom of the stone to support them. From Cowdery, the BYU model maker got the information required to construct a version of this entire scene, all these objects found in that stone box. Thanks to these descriptions, the plates are easily imagined, their size, their color, their shape. Moreover, the setting to what happened there was given in detail. The hill, the stone in the ground, lifting the stone, the box containing the plates, lifting the plates. All the details vest the story with substantial reality. All these descriptions made the plates both visible and invisible. They were hidden from the gaze of the immensely curious public, but enough was said to make them visible to the imagination. They could be readily seen in the mind's eye and translated into pictures and models. Besides all this, there was a second reason for the visibility of the plates. They embodied an alluring ambivalence that resonated with Americans. The first newspaper notice of the Book of Mormon, 8 months before it was published, used an intriguing phrase. In June 1829, the Wayne Sentinel announced that the book is generally known and spoken of as the Golden Bible. That characteristic stuck for a long time. It was evocative and at the same time tongue-in-cheek, emphasizing how intriguing, but also how outlandish Mormon beliefs were. The very first book on Mormonism, Heber E. Howe's Critical Mormonism Unveiled, put the word Golden Bible in large gold type, as if that was the most intriguing part of the story. The name Gold Bible offers an alluring combination of gold as in greed and Bible as in Holy Scripture. plates stood for both basic desire and for religious truth. They had this double appeal from the beginning. Even Joseph Smith was tempted to think of the gold plates as treasure and had to be lectured by the angel to purge that view and to consider them strictly as sacred history. His treasure-seeking friends believed in the plates enough to ransack his house and barn in searching of them, only thinking of the metal, not the writing. Likely, if they got their hands on the plates, they would have melted them down and sold them as bullion. To this day, the thought of that much gold in one artifact confuses the picture and makes the plates all that more enticing. And then to say, written on these gold plates were the words of prophets, making them another Bible, builds up tension and excitement. In some ways, the term Gold Bible sums up the poles of the national culture. The quest for wealth at one end and the belief in America as a chosen nation at the other. One favored of God and the other simply greed. Is America a righteous nation or a selfish and greedy people? How you choose to think of the plates is a test of your inclination.